Hi, I'm Dana, and today I really wanted to talk about being autistic and making decisions, because it's one of the things I've always struggled with, and it's one of the ways that when I was a kid especially, my mum always compared me to my older brother and was like, oh, it's so weird that you both have this issue even though you're not autistic and he is. Shock horror, I am. And we're getting straight into it now, because obviously as a child a lot of your decisions are sort of laid out for you. You're given the choice more so than having to make a decision, and sure, you've got to choose which one, but you given the selection, you know? So one of the times it often came up was when we went to the ice cream van, because me and my brother would just stand there looking at the pictures and looking at the pictures, and my mum would be like, what do you want? And we'd both be like, I don't know, I do not know. And my mum would have to be like, okay, you can have a 99 or an ice pop, which one? And we'd be like, oh, I'm in the mood for ice cream. And she'd be like, okay, so do you want this one or that one? And we'd be like, that one. You know, it had to be very much narrowed down for us, otherwise we could just stand there for hours and a decision would not be made. And it came to the same kind of thing when it came to Christmas and things like that, because I would just go into the Argos catalogue, this is showing my age now, circle the things I wanted, but it was the thing of I couldn't decide. There was one year that I desperately wanted the Nintendo DS, because that was what everyone was getting. I was like, I need that, it looks so fun, it looks so great, I still have it. But otherwise, most years, I didn't really know, I knew what I wanted, but it was a case of I would just circle every Bratz doll and every bit of Doctor Who merch. It's I'm gonna be super happy whichever one of these things I get, but do not ask me which one I want the most, because I have no idea. And from accommodating to my brother, that's one of the few things that did leach into accommodations for me as well. And right up to high school, it was very much a case of any time I was faced with decisions, when I was choosing my GCSEs and things like that, my mum would very much be like, well, you can choose geography or drama, so which one do you normally prefer? Because I feel you prefer drama as a rule, and I'd be like, yeah, I do, I'm gonna choose drama. But if I'd been given the whole list of 6, I'd have been like, oh god, I don't know what to do, this is all so much. You know, I really still, and very much at the time, needed someone that could be okay, well, we know she's not going to want to do this, this and this. So if we just suggest to them that they can do this or this, and they can make that choice, and it's so much easier for me. I don't tend to do too badly when I'm just making a choice. But I'm making a distinction that I'm not sure actually exists within the English language, where you're making a choice when you have selections of things. And for me, making a decision feels much more when it's I have this situation and I need to figure out what I'm doing. I need to make a decision on what I am doing as a person within this situation, and I don't know what the options are, you know? It feels other people have some degree of an immediate instinct of what to do and what they should say and what all of that kind of thing. And when things happen to me, I'm very I just sort of freeze. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what my options are. I don't know what decisions I could make, never mind what I should make. And it's very distressing, to be completely honest with you. So this is about to be a little bit heavy, because I mentioned in my last video that I've had a life thing happening, and I've largely struggled with it because it's been very having to figure things out and make a decision and choose what I want to do without having choices laid out before me, really. With most things, it does feel I've got a few choices, you know, logically black and white thinking. I'm you can do this, this and this. But it's taken me several days to be able to process the situation enough and mull over it and sort of to a point ruminate on it, to be able to be oh, these are the options that I have. You know, they didn't come to me quickly, which I kind of needed them to. So like I said, this is going to be a bit heavy, but because I have the GoFundMe going for winter, I will link it here-ish. If winter needs a new wheelchair, you want to donate, it's there. And I've obviously been posting that everywhere that I can. So I posted on my Facebook for the first time in 2 years or something, and one of my mother's friends immediately popped up and was like, I don't know if you know, but your mum's been in hospital for the last 9 days. She's on this ward in this hospital. And I was like, fuck. So for anyone new, I cut off all contact with my mum just over 2 years ago, and it was, well, it wasn't while, it was about 6 to 8 months after she'd been diagnosed with liver and lung cancer and had brain surgery. So it wasn't an ideal time to have shit going down, but it'd been many years in the coming, essentially. But obviously that meant that I didn't just have the general cutting off a parent thing, I also had the shit, what if I've made the wrong choice in cutting her off and she now fucking dies? So finding out that she'd been in hospital for like over a week, I was very like, is this a deathbed situation? You know, like what's going on here? So it took me a few days to be like, I can phone the hospital and tell them I'm her daughter and I'd like some information on her. And they told me that she's like essentially more or less okay, and she's been moved from like the hospital to like a not like a rehabilitation home, but you know, like a in between hospital and home type of care situation. So she's not dying, that's nice. But it's one of those things where like I had to sit with that for like 3 days before I made the phone call, because I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Like this is just a huge piece of information I've been given that I don't really feel like I'm a part of, given that I haven't spoken to her in years. But also, like, obviously she's my mother. Like, as much as I wish I didn't, I do still have the emotional tie there. And as much as I think it's bullshit when people are like, oh, but she's your mum, like maybe she should act like it then, she is still my mum, you know? So I had to take a few days to like figure out what my fucking choices were there, and I was very much like, if it's a deathbed situation, like she's gonna go soon, for my own mental health, for my own well-being, regardless of what's going on with her, I would feel some degree of closure from going to see her, whether it's some sort of like reunion thing, whether it's her like being really mad at me, like whatever the situation was, if she's gonna die soon, seeing her and getting that closure would make me feel better in the long run. Like one of my big like life guilt things is that I wasn't with my dad when he passed. So, you know, like I was having to really bring up horrible past situations and be like, well, I felt like this when I made this decision then, so maybe I should make this other choice this time around. But making the decisions and settling on things and trying to like sort of understand and process what the consequences will be, and try to like, I've mentioned before, I don't feel like I have social imagination, and that's one of the big things that's like a very common autistic trait. It's very difficult to imagine how social things are gonna go and how any fucking situation, for me personally, like I've said before, I feel like so much more of life is social events than people like to make out, and I just don't feel like I can predict anything. So it does add to the difficulty of making decisions when I don't feel like I can foresee how anything's going to go. Like obviously I know people aren't psychic, I know neurotypicals aren't out here like, well, if I do this, this is the exact thing that's going to happen, but I feel like they can have a little bit more of a foresight of like, these are the likely consequences of this choice. And I feel like that's very, very difficult for me to figure out and come to. And there's also just been so many times that I've been like, if I do this, one of these like 4 things will happen, when actually it's a secret 5th thing that I've never considered, and then it's a whole new like bundle of brand new changey different things that I have to figure out a decision to, and that's the thing, it feels like life is constant choices and decisions and figuring things out, and like I know it kind of just is, but when you suck at it like I do, I'm filled with dread all the time. Like I've mentioned, I eat 1 big meal a day in the evening because it takes me all day to decide what I should eat. Like making any sort of decision is so fucking hard. And there's some bits that I've gotten better at. Like it used to take me a really long time to decide what I was going to wear for the day, and I have gotten like, see, that's the thing, I don't feel like I'm better at making decisions. I feel like I've just built a wardrobe where I actually like my clothes, so I'm immediately like, oh, I want to wear that, I like that. And it does feel like that's probably one of the easiest ways for me to live my life, is just to make sure that the things surrounding me are like all just right, so that whatever decision I make is the right decision. But obviously like lots of parts of life are decided by outside forces, and I can't control it, I can't decide how it's going to go in that way. But I do feel like it's one of the areas where my delayed processing like really, I've got something in my eye, I'm sorry, but I do think it's one of the places where my delayed processing really affects it and really plays into it. And I've had a bunch of times that I've talked about delayed processing, and I've gotten comments being like, it's not delayed, that you're just processing different things. Okay, maybe, but it's completely useless to the situation. So the actual processing that I need to do for the situation is delayed. It's happening way later than it is for everyone else that's not autistic in the situation. I'm processing the necessary things at a delayed rate, you know? And it does just feel like so often I'm still halfway through processing the situation when I'm expected to make a choice and make a decision, and it does feel like I'm constantly just sort of like button smashing life. Like I used to work at a video shop come arcade, and we had a Street Fighter arcade machine. I never figured out how to play it, I just fucking hit things as quick as I could, and it does kind of feel like that's how I make all of my decisions in life. And like I also have a group chat with my friends where like 99% of things I have to decide or make a choice on, I put in there and see what everyone else has to say. Like I've straight on made polls in the group chat with my friends for life decisions I need to make. Like, And I think that's why I've often like annoyed a lot of people as well, because I'll like ask for help with a choice and they'll be like, you should do this, and I'll be like, perfect, you've made me understand that that's the exact thing I'm not going to do. I'm going to do this complete opposite thing. And it's like, well, why did you ask for my help then? It's like, because I've been able to decide now, because when you said I should do that, I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I'd rather do this, so I'll do that. Like, being able to like find the easy way out, or find like the thing I hate the idea of the least. I really often need someone else to tell me that I should do something I don't want to do, for me to be like, oh, this is better, I'd rather do that. Like, it honestly does kind of feel like I need a team to make any sort of fucking life decision. I'm very lucky that I have that in my little group chat with my friends, but it just doesn't feel like it should be so hard. I don't feel like I should be so surprised by the outcome so often, you know? And I think some degree of it is also like the constant shock and surprise and being like, oh, that's not how I expected that to turn out. This isn't what I thought was going to happen. I didn't want this. Has made it all the more difficult to feel like I'm capable of making decisions and like I've ever made a right fucking decision in my entire life, you know? Like, I don't feel like I have like lots and lots of life regrets or anything. Like, I have a few life regrets. I think most people do and probably should, to be honest. But, you know, like, I'm not like filled with them, and they're not ones that like keep me up at night or anything. But I've had 1,000,001 times that I've absolutely made the wrong choice and the wrong decision. And I fully expected it to go the opposite way than it did. And it's been a complete shock that it didn't. And everyone around me acts like it was really obvious and like it was the only option that was ever going to happen if I did that thing. And it's just not at all what I expected. And that always throws me off, and again makes me feel like I'm really incapable of making any correct choice. I will say that I think some degree of that comes from the 8 years I spent in a really abusive relationship where any choice or decision that I made was the wrong one, and it was only the ones that he made that were ever right. But I haven't experienced it before that as well. I do think some of it's autism and not just a full trauma response, you know? But yeah, I think that's maybe all I have to say. I'm also sorry that I look like this in this video. It's absolutely boiling and I've walked like 5 miles today and I'm really tired and I'm not having the best time, to be honest with you. But I'd have a better time if you guys liked and subscribed, liked the video, subscribed to my channel. Again, up until, I think until we're like fully funded, I'm gonna be promoting Winter's GoFundMe rather than my own socials and stuff. So rather than giving you my stuff, please go and donate to Winter. If you're new and you haven't heard about it all, they took me on like a once-in-a-lifetime incredible trip to America, and on the way back Aer Lingus absolutely destroyed their chair. It's damaged beyond repair. The manufacturer of the chair sent an engineer report based on pictures that they saw and said that it's no longer safe to use, and they don't have another mobility option, so they are using it. It is an unsafe chair that they're having to just go about their life in. So we've set up a GoFundMe so that they can afford to get an actually safe chair that they can get around in, because disabled people deserve mobility aids to be able to function, and it's insane and ridiculous that an airline broke theirs and has just left us to it. So that's what we're currently doing and going for. I'll link it here, I'll link it down below. You'll find it if you go to like any of my social media. I've got it everywhere. I'm trying to really get it out there. If you can't donate, that's completely understandable. I'm not trying to put pressure on people to donate. I know lots of us are in really tight spots at the minute. If you can share it anywhere, if you can post it anywhere, share it to any like Discords, WhatsApp groups, Facebook, I don't know. If you could just try and share it around and get it seen by people that might be able to, that'd be really cool. So yeah, that was the video, and I'm gonna go now. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and I will see you again in a couple of days.